Hello. Okay, let's begin this conference. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Alma Shifa Maulidina, and today I will be serving you as a moderator for this session. And it's a great honor to welcome you all to the International Conference on Interdisciplinarity for Sustainable Development, Interdis 2025. That organized by RTC Komisariat 6B in collaboration with Universitas Informatika dan Bisnis Indonesia, UNIBI. We truly appreciate your presence today and hope this session will be insightful and engaging for everyone here. So before we begin, I would like to briefly introduce our distinguished speakers for this session. The first one, we have Mita Melinda. You already here. Mita Melinda from Communication Science, UNIBI, that will represent the research about representation of a message of concern in advertising. And the second presenter is Khalifa Atarik Fajri from Psychology UNIBI. The research is about the transformation of teenagers' attitude towards sexual harassment through psychoeducational video intervention. And we have Dinda Novita Nurulhusna from Psychology UNIBI that will be present about a comparative study of the meaning of life between the potential elderly and the abandoned elderly in Greater Bandung. And the fourth will be presented by Yufatari from Management Universitas Terbuka about academic human resources development in realize excellent and competitive higher education. And the last one, we have Regilia Zahra Andranella from Accounting UNIBI that will present about the influence on financial distress audit committees and the implementation of fears on the timeliness of financial reporting. So Mita Melinda already here, Khalifa Atarik Fajri is already here. Dinda and Fatari haven't joined yet with us, but that's fine. We will begin, and we have Ragilia Azahra that already joined with us today. Okay, before the presentation begin, I kindly remind to all participants to maintain order and keep microphones mute during the presentation. And please post your question in the chat box or use the raise hand feature that will be begin the question and answer session after each presentation. So your cooperation will ensure a smooth and productive session. Okay, the operator already here and all the presenters have a well prepared to present their research today. And without further ado, I'm pleased to invite Mita Melinda to present their topic about representation of a message of concern in advertising. So to Mita Melinda, please take your time.
Hello everyone. My name is Mita Melinda. I'm from UNIBI. Wait a second, please. Okay, sorry. I will presentation my article. Hey, hello everyone. On this occasion, allow me to introduce myself. I am Mita Melinda. I'm with two people as a research group. There are Zia Alpasiani and Hovifa Hairunisa. We are students from Universitas Informatika dan Bisnis Indonesia with a major in communication science. I thank the organizers on the International Interdish Conference who organized this event as well as the lecturers who supported us. Without taking too much longer, I'm here to discuss a scientific article that my group and I put together under the title Representation of a Message of Concern in Advertising. So, let me introduce this article that begins with the insanely creative and diverse advertising phenomenon in Indonesia. One of them was in Gojek commercial entitled contains onion. Gojek is a company that after service or delivery service. The Gojek company made a storytelling type advertising promotion with the term onion. Onions, in this context, meaning touch feelings context, meaning touching feelings get tears to drop. In this commercial, it implies the concern commercial, it implies of several skins that can attract of several skins views attention so as the successfully touch one feelings. Okay, this research will be a follow-up using the research method called semiotics by Roland Barthes. Semiotic from Roland Barthes tells us through the sign of the us through the sign. The sign of this study are explained by two levels, the notation and the connotation marks. This study was conducted using two data collection techniques. The first using book search and previous studies. Second, the call data will be reduced to select to appropriate data. The fixed data will be compiled so that the conclusions will be made. So that a conclusion will be made, and furthermore, a discussion of the results of the advertising. In the first table, in the first scene, there was a woman who was at the dinner table watching the old footage of breaking the fast with friends in Ramadan last year. Denotationally, these scenes depict the tradition of Indonesian people who always spend Ramadan by gathering with family and friends. On the other hand, by connotations, the woman's face shows sadness, reflection, the longing and loneliness that arose due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which hindered direct interaction with nearby people. The second scene shows Gojek delivery drivers delivering passengers in green Tokopedia package customers. This scene shows product distribution activities as part of a collaboration between Gojek and Tokopedia. This scene shows that delivery service continues to function despite the pandemic, allowing people to continue to send goods, even if they do not, when physically spared. Scene 3 looks like a man named Donnie received a package containing a pair of sandals. The third scene, it was seen that a man named Donnie received a package containing a pair of green slippers sent by his friends to Gojek service. Denotatively, This scene shows the activity of delivering goods shows the activity of delivering goods in the form of slipper as a form in attention of friend. Additionally, this simple-looking gift holds a strong emotional meaning because it reminds Donnie of a funny incident when his sandals were exchanged at the mosque in the previous Ramadan. This moment not evokes nostalgia but also demonstrates closeness to others. Next, the fourth scene shown in the scene of Siska reveals a package contain chicken meat and a piece of freezer paper sent to the Gojek service. Denotationally, these scenes describe the activity of delivering Gojek groceries complete with home-cooked recipes. Connotatively, the delivery was not just a cooking ingredient, but from a genuine concern from the sender who understood Siska's longing for her mother's cooking. Okay, since 6, I was seeing the Gojek drivers continue to carry out the task of delivering goods to the house, to having the deal with various weather conditions. This scene is accompanied by the narration Ramadan is a distant close, and meaningful, which reinforces the core message of the Ramadan. The situations by denotation, this image shows that the Gojek service is operational for a period of a time. Ramadan, even when the situation isn't always supportive. Okay, that's the whole message of content advertising. We hope this series, we hope this research become insight and knowledge for them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Nita Melinda, for such an informative and comprehensive presentation. And here is one question for you. You ready to answer this question? And the question is, why is it necessary to use semiotic methods in this research? Please answer to Mita Melinda.
Okay, to understand more deeply the meaning contained in the advertisement, Roland Barthes' semiotic approach was used to look at every sign of denotations, connotations, and myth. Through Laurent Barthes' semiotic analysis, this article aims to find out denotational signs, connotations, and myth as a representation of the message of content in the Gojek, containing audience advertisement and how the advertisement reflects the social value of Indonesian society. It is hoped that this result will provide new insight in understanding the role of the advertising as a medium for cultural and social communication while also understanding the application of Roland Barthes semiotic approach in interpreting the science. That's my question and that's my answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Mita Melinda, for your good present and answer today. Thank you so much. And due to the time limit, we will directly move to the next presenter, which is Khalifa Atarik Fajri from Psychology Unibi that will present about the transformation of teenagers' attitudes towards sexual harassment through psychoeducational video intervention. to Khalifa Atarik Fajri. Please take your time.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan untuk kita semua. Hello, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Khalifa Atarik Fajri, and today I will be presenting the result of our research entitled The Transformation of Teenagers' Attitude Towards Sexual Harassment Through Psychoeducational Video Intervention. Before we begin, I would like to introduce the team's members who contribute to this study and support the research until its completion. Here are the names of the team members who have been part of this journey. With this amazing support of this team, we were able to explore a topic that is deeply relevant to today's adolescent. Let me now walk you through the background and core issue that motivated this study. Well then, let's start with the background of the problems. Sexual harassment is an act that demeans someone based on their sexuality or gender, often occurring without consent. Adolescents are the particularly vulnerable group due to their limited understanding, lack of self-control, and their influence of their socio-emotional development. Data show a rising trend in sexual harassment case each year, particularly in West Java, where approximately 1,366 victims were reported in 2023. The consequences are several, ranging from trauma to depression. Yet, many teens are not even aware that they have experienced harassment. The lack of formal sexual education and the taboo nature of this topic only worsen the situation. Meanwhile, psychoeducation has been shown to be effective in increasing understanding and shaping preventive attitudes. Moreover, video-based educational media is considered more engaging and effective in reaching adolescents. The study aimed to examine how psychoeducational video influence the awareness and attitudes of junior high school students regarding sexual harassment. In order to investigate this problem systematically, we employ following research methodology. Let's move to the methodology section. This research employed a quasi-experiment method using a one-group pretest post-test design. The participants were 21 students aged 40 to 50 years old from SMPN 14 Bandung. The instrument used in this study was the Sexual Harassment Attitudes, original developed by Mazur and Percival, 1989, and adapted by Wahyuni, 2022. It consists of 40 statement items presented in a 5-point Likert scale, ranging from strongly disagree to strongly agree. Once of instrument was finalized, we continue with the data collection process, which involve several steps carried out over the course of the study. Now, let me explain how we collect the data using this instrument. So, on the first day, students complete a pretest via Google Form. On the second day, students were given the intervention, a psycho-educational video with a duration of 3 minutes and 48 seconds. After watching the video, They complete the post-test using the same instruments. To analyze data, we use SPSS version 25 with the paired sample t-test. So, and then we finding that the descriptive analysis show an increase in post-test score, with average rising to 53.33 after the intervention. We first ran a normality test, which showed that our data was normally distributed since the p-value was above 0.05. This allows us to continue with the pair sample t-test for hypothesis testing. We found a p-value of 0.031, which is lower than 0.05, meaning the difference between the pre-test and post-test is statistically significant. This supports our hypothesis that a psychoeducational video intervention significantly influenced student attitude toward sexual harassment. Now that we've seen the result, let's move on the discussion to interpret what this finding actually mean. Our findings support that video-based psychoeducation is effective in shaping adolescent positive attitude toward sexual harassment. Beyond attitudes, the intervention also helped improve preventive abilities, particularly in setting personal boundaries and making appropriate decisions. Additionally, the intervention encouraged critical awareness about the issue of sexual harassment, especially within the social context the adolescent face today. Previous research also support these findings. For example, technological approaches such as virtual reality have been shown to significantly increase awareness and promote active bystander behavior, allowing students not only to recognize harassment but also to take action when witnessing. However, there are a few important limitations to consider. The video used in our study was less than 40 minutes long and was shown only once, which may not be sufficient to produce a deep and lasting change in attitude. Moreover, the post-test was administered after school hour, right after students had completed their exam. This timing could have caused cognitive fatigue, potentially affecting their attention and comprehension during the intervention. Lastly, since this study did not include a control group, we cannot fully establish that the change of server was solely due to the video intervention. External factors such as personal experiences or discussion with peers may have also influenced their result. Let's move. The conclusion is psychoeducation video intervention significantly improves student attitudes towards sexual harassment by encouraging awareness, sensitivity, and critical thinking. This method, alike with the Bandura social learning theory, emphasizing the impact of observational learning, despite limitations such as a no-control group and absence of the clear theoretical framework, the findings remain promising. Future research with the stronger design is needed. So, we hope this research can contribute to develop a more effective preventive education program in school, especially those that are more engaging and accessible for adolescents. Thank you for your time and attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Santi Santi, Om Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan.
Okay, thank you so much, Khalifa Atarik Fajri, for your great presentation. I received one question from my chat box in this breakout room, and I will read the question, then you can answer after. So the question is, why do you choose to use video as a form of psychoeducational intervention? Are there certain considerations compared to other media, such as group discussions or written modules? To Mr. Khalifa Atarik Fajri, please answer that question.
Thank you. Before that, for the question, I will say we choose the video media as our form of psycho-educational intervention because it's considered more engaging and concise, emotional, and easier for teenagers to understand. According to Anhar and Friends 2023, video has the ability to deliver information in a way that captures attention and make the message easier to remember. Research in Indonesia also strongly support this. For example, Astuti and Friends 2024 and Wahyuni found that using educational video significantly improved teenagers' knowledge and attitudes toward issues like violence and sexual uh, harassment. In fact, Mustiana and Friends 2023 and Wahyuni 2022 even reported that student understanding increased almost 100% after watching this video. When we compare these to other methods like reading modules or group discussion, the advantages are clear. Written modules often feel boring and heavy for teenagers, while group discussion can be limited by embarrassing or peer pressure. Meanwhile, video media provide consistently keep students engaged and efficiently delivers the intended message that why we choose video as our main intervention tools. Maybe that's the question.
Okay, thank you for your answer. So your answer is using video as a media can combine visual and audio that making the learning process more interactive and effective, right? And to sum up your presentation, your research showed that video-based psychoeducation effectively improves students' attitude towards sexual harassment by enhancing awareness and critical thinking that will promising results that call for stronger in future research. So thank you, Khalifa Tarik Fajri, and thank you for the question. Thank you for your answer. Because the time is already limited, we will move to the last presenter that already joined with us today. The research that will present by Ragilia Zahra Andranella from Accounting, Unibi, that will present about the influence of financial distress, audit committees, and the implementation of years on the timelines of financial reporting. Please, Ragilia, take your time.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Respected ladies and gentlemen, honorable committee members, and all participants who I respect. Thank you for the opportunity given to me to present my research paper today. My name is Ragilia Zahra Andranella, and I represent the Faculty of Economic and Business of Indonesia, majoring in Accounting 2021. Today, I will present my research with the title The Influence of Financial Distress, Audit Committee, and the Implementation of IFRS on on the timelines of financial reporting. Empirical study on property and real estate companies listed on the Indonesian Stock Exchange. This research is motivated by the phenomenon that occurs over the gap that arises between a condition of the companies that are on time and delays in submitting their financial report. Although the number of the delays and that occur is not high, it can have a significant impact. Among the 11 existing sectors, 49 properties and real estate sector companies dominate the number of delays. Delays that occur are able to have a significant impact on the decline in stock transaction volume in the properties and real estate sector, which has continued to decline in the last 5 years. Timelines of financial reporting can be influenced by several factors. First, including the financial distress, which is reviewed through the condition of a sector profit, then variation in the number of audit committees owned by the company, and the last, how companies are able to apply IFRS in their financial reporting. Next is the framework in the study. The delay condition that occur are used as the basis for the research. Then the theory used is the signaling theory. And then for hypothesis formulation are obtained 3 partial and 1 simultaneously. The indicators used to measure each variable are as follows. 1. For timelines of financial reporting, use the financial reporting time frames. The second is financial distress using Altman Z-score, and the third, audit committee, use the number of audit committee, and the last, implementation of IFRS using the indicator DAMI. With a total population of 500 annual report and a total sample 70 annual report that have been selected through purposive sampling technique with the purposive sampling technique with the research model used as a quantitative research. And the next, I will show the result of the data testing that has been done using the regression model and simultaneously test. The first, for regression model, financial distress has a negative effect on the timelines of financial reporting. This is because the companies that are experiencing a financial distress condition will tend to delay submitting financial reports until the company can overcome this problem. The second, audit committee has no effect on timelines of financial reporting, where high number of audit committee owned by the company does not guarantee of the effectiveness of the implementation of its duties and the function of ensuring that financial reports are submitted on time. The third, implementation of IFRS has no effect on timelines of financial reporting. This is because the application of IFRS, which requires a variety of adjustment and a more complex reporting system, will actually require a longer time in the process of preparing the financial report, so that it cannot be submit a financial report on time. And simultaneously, financial distress of the committee and implementation of IFRS simultaneously has no effect on the timelines of financial reporting, which may be due the fact that internal factors are not sufficient to ensure regulatory compliance for timely financial reporting. Instead, technical and operation matters, such as the efficiency of the reporting system, the speed of the consolidation process, and the competence of human research are indicated to be more capable of influencing the acceleration of the financial reporting process. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the explanation of the research I did. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Ragelia Zahra, for your great presentation. And I received one question for you. Please be prepared to answer. And the question is, how can it be explained that the audit committee has no effect on the timeliness of financial reporting, given that one of its main functions is to ensure company compliance with applicable reporting regulation? So please answer that question.
Okay, thank you for the question. Let me answer. Formally, the audit committee does have no a function to ensure company compliance with regulation, including the timelines of financial reporting. However, the result of the study indicate that this function in practice has not been fully effective. This may be due to the orientation of the audit committee, which emphasized the quality of the report rather than the speed of submission, limited independence, and low of intensity of meeting conducted. In addition, the research sample found several companies that did not transparently disclose the activities of the audit committee in the annual report, which further show the limited effectiveness of the supervision carried out. That's the answer I can give. Hopefully, it can be answered clearly. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Ragila Zahra, for your good response. So your research can be used as a reference to the other researcher to use another variable that might can affect your variable in this research, I hope. So since the other presenter, two left presenters wasn't joined with us, we will end this conference. But before we end this, we will take a group photo to the operator. Please be ready to take a group photo, and to all presenter and all participants, please turn on your camera because we will take a picture here. Please turn on your camera and stay quick here. Make a good pose. Okay. Okay, all the presenters and all participants, please be ready to take a group photo. And to Mrs. Desiana as operator today, are you ready to take a picture? Please say 1, 2, 3 because we will get a pose.
Okay, I will take a picture. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, once more.
Okay. Oh, okay. Let me take a picture again. 1, 2, 3. Done.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Desiana as operator today. On to
You're
all the
welcome.
presenters and all the participants. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to thank to all the speakers and participants for your valuable contribution on today's session. And we look forward to your active participation in the upcoming session. So thank you and enjoy the rest of your day today. Happy weekend, everybody. Thank you so much.